Life's ups and downs. Throughout the course of my grandfather's life, he had some rough times and some great ones as well. Born in 1928, my grandfather, Thomas Caniggia, was a first-generation American from Italy. His toughest tasks in life were living through the Great Depression, the largest war in the history of mankind, and raising 3 children single-handedly, and a couple long battles with cancer. With those long challenges also came the joys of overcoming them. Some of his roughest times were from his childhood. He was born right into the Depression, and being a child with 9 siblings, it was very rough on him and his family. Most of the time there would not be enough food for his whole family to eat. But somehow his family made it out of the Great Depression. But that joy was cut in no time due to World War II. There were 5 boys in my grandfather's family, and every single one of them was drafted except him, because he was too young. So soon as he finally got to live his life without worry for the first time, all of his brothers left to fight in a bloody war halfway across the world in Japan. And until the war ended in 1945, when all of his brothers against all odds survived the war, never had he a time in his life where he could just relax like a normal boy. As his life continued, so did the constant struggles. His wife that he beloved got cancer and was hospital-ridden for the rest of her life, and both of their lives were never the same. As if trying to help your wife get through cancer was not hard enough, he also had 3 kids to care for and to provide for. This proved to be very tough. For the majority of his adult life, he worked 2 jobs and hardly ever did anything for himself. His days consisted of working long hours and then taking my dad and his siblings to see my grandmother in the hospital. As this went on, another problem was emerging. He had developed prostate cancer himself. This led to another long fight, just like everything else that had been in his life. And this time was no different. After he was diagnosed, the doctors removed his prostate, and then he returned to his normal self. With a life full of that many rough times, it is hard to imagine how much he enjoyed his life, but anyone that knew him knows that he loved being here. Most of his enjoyment came from getting through the toughest times in his life. After the Great Depression, even though his brothers had to go to war, he got a little relief knowing that his family could move on and know when the next meal was coming. Then after the war ended, he knew that his brothers all made it, giving him maybe the best news in his life thus far. Then, when his wife was diagnosed with cancer, even though she was never fully healthy, she lived for a very long time before passing away. Those years that she had survived through gave him precious time with his wife that he was not sure he was going to get. He then got to see his kids grow up and start their own families that were made possible because of his hard work and selflessness. Finally, the feeling that he got after he was told that the cancer inside him was gone was no longer there, and for once in his life he could just truly relax. My grandfather's journey truly defines a life of ups and downs, and eventually it all evens out. My grandfather died in 2007 at the age of 79. While inevitably it was very sad, it was very peaceful as well. He was surrounded by his family and friends and was finally in a place that he no longer had to work or worry.